stenosis. So first I'll tell you the sequence, because then if I tell you about the sequences in this, it is pretty easier to remember the murmur in this case. So first is aortic stenosis. So just always remember systolic. If you have a little bit of page memory, systolic will start first, then diastolic. Systolic will do it with the AS first. So AS, MR, like this, AS, MR, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or HOCM, whatever you say that, mitral valve prolapse, VSDs. Okay, and there should be an ASD in between. So A comes before, we can remember like ASD before, followed by a VSD. Okay, so there is this AS, MR. MR you can remember TR, so it is parallel, both are parallel. So just don't get confused in that. AS के बाद MR के बाद hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is the third one. Then mitral valve prolapse, then ASD, and then VSD. So just if you remember the sequence, it becomes very easy to remember the cardiac murmurs, followed by diastolic murmur. Diastolic murmur we have here. If it is AS is concluded, we can see here there is an AR, and followed by there is, here we have MR, so here we can have MS, and then followed by patent ductus arteriosus, which is super easy to remember. So in this scenario, first one which will start. First, think about a mountain, then slant, then mountain, then slant, then small mountain like A, then slant, and then O. So easy peasy to remember. पहले वाला aortic stenosis is this one. So crescendo, decrescendo. Okay. Then followed by slant. Now MR is the second one. If you remember, the sequence is this. From S1, S2 continues. Followed by HOCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. A smaller one, crescendo, decrescendo at left solar border. Then there is the MVP. So MVP, always there is this prolapse, followed by, so mitral valve prolapse. So something is there. So there is this click sound is very particular for it. So this is also holosystolic. ASD, again A it forms, so again like this thing. So this pattern, then this pattern, then this pattern, then this pattern, this pattern again, then VSD again is a holosystolic slant pattern. So it becomes easier to remember. So aortic stenosis about soft ejection click is seen in this. Okay, so as a sad as, so it is always associated with syncope. Why I said it's sad, and old people are usually sad, so I don't want to be age wise. Nobody should tell me anything. But this is a mnemonic. So mnemonic you have to remember in some form or something. Sad से syncope, angina, dyspnea. ये हो गया आपका crescendo, decrescendo. Right upper sternal border, A2 is soft and pulsus parvus et tardus. ठीक है, ये आवाज इसमें आवाज आती है. You can actually palpate it and get it figured out. Mitral regurgitation is this one, holosystolic murmur. So where is it hurt? Mitral का कहाँ पे होता है? Apex पे आवाज आती है, and it radiates to axilla. So if you remember, if it goes to this thing, it will obviously radiate to axilla. So try some drugs. That's a mnemonic for it. Try for it. So MR you can say, or you can say TR. It is both the same things. Try some drugs. So what drug abusers, they have this tricuspid valve is most commonly involved, followed by HOCM or HCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Crescendo, decrescendo, mid left sternal border. So mid left sternal border. Why? Because it's a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Whole heart is involved. So it is generally, it's not any this thing. So it is somewhere in the mid left sternal border, left side, because your heart is divided on the left side. Followed by MVP. So there is a click, mid systolic click, followed by a late systolic murmur, and that is again a slant one. ASD, which I have not, which they have not in. This is my this thing. So ASD they have not made in this. So ASD is also small crescendo and decrescendo kind of a murmur. Okay, it comes somewhere between S1 and S2, but it is for a very short period. ASDs. VSD again is a holosystolic murmur, and typically the hollow and harsh. So always remember this is a harsh sounding murmur, and it is obviously more in the tricuspid area, because this is ventricular septal effect is more in the tricuspid area, which can we hear it. Now diastolic murmur. Diastolic murmurs, there is a BEAR, which is a mnemonic for it. BEAR, bicuspid aortic valve, where all we can see AR. So they are just written one word from first aid. You can see in first aid also. B stands for bicuspid aortic valve. E stands for endocarditis. Okay. Bicuspid aortic valve, if your aortic valve are usually tricuspid, but if you have two cusps, then you can hear, because they two cusps are not competent enough, then it acts like an aortic regurgitation only. Then followed by endocarditis. Then endocarditis and A stands for aortic root dilatation, and followed and also R stands for rheumatic fever. So if they ask you in US Assembly, they ask you if it is a developed country. So think about bicuspid aortic valve, which is a congenital cause. But if the person is coming from developing country, think about rheumatic fever, endocarditis and all those causes. So this one, सबसे पहले it stands like this. This is maybe we were looking at like a mountain peak. So just forget this area because this is not a systolic area. Make this one. So it becomes easier. The first was this, was now it's this. So this is a high pitched blowing murmur. This is the characteristic name of this murmur, blowing murmur. Aortic root dilation. Okay. Followed by MS. MS, if you remember, so there is a mnemonic. MS is OS. MS Microsoft Word is an operating system. So this is the mnemonic again. If you want, MS is OS. Why I am saying OS? Because OS is called an opening snap. From S2, your opening snap is coming into this. Then the stronger is the MS. So typical sound in this is delayed rumbling murmur. Delayed rumbling murmur. Okay. So in this scenario, you can hear a delayed rumbling murmur, and this is again which is mid to late this thing from diastolic murmur, and its interval decrease. If there is an interval is decreased between S2 and OS opening snap, it correlates with the increased severity. So opening snap is, if it is coming earlier, it means it is more severe. MS is more severe. Okay, so this is the delayed rumbling murmur, and this is a blowing murmur. Okay, now finally is PDF, which is a super easy one. It comes in S1, it is through and through. This is a continuous machinery like murmur. So it will be a continuous one. Machinery in the left upper sternal border. So anywhere left upper sternal border, you can hear this PDL, because patent ductus arteriosus, it is formed in this is the heart. Patent ductus arteriosus is somewhere here only. So isliye, that is why we are saying PDL location is near left upper sternal border or infracranial border. So again, cardiac murmur ka ASD and VSD I have written here more clearly. So this is A2, P2 is like this, mid systolic wide fixed splitting. I already told you WPRFA PAL. So this is the mnemonic for it. FA is for fixed for aortic atrial septal defects. Okay, and then VSD has a holosystole at the left sternal border. So this is an easy peasy, and we have just finished with the murmur. Next we are going to deal with the heart failures. So this is the heart failure chart, aortic regurgitations, and what else apart from this? Okay, these two will cover together. You can have a look at it. Okay, so see you guys. Thank you.